Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing the anime book tag. I actually planned on doing this tag a couple months ago, so at the top of my head I cannot remember who created this tag, but I will find out and leave the link to their video in the description box below. There are 13 questions in this tag and I have already looked them over, so for the majority of them I have my books already picked out, and a couple of the questions I actually picked out a wide array of books. So let's jump right into it. Anime number 1, Haiku, which I just happen to be wearing a Haiku shirt right now, which I love. No joke, it is one of my favorite animes of all time. A book with a above and beyond beautiful friendship. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I could only really think of Harry and Hermione for this one. Like, that relationship, it really is just above and beyond beautiful. The amount of stuff that they do for each other, the stakes that are being raised with each book, and it's just like Hermione and Harry just stick together. I mean, Ron, he has his moments where he's always like in or out of the group for some reason, whether it's relationship drama or it's just because he's jealous. Point is, Harry and Hermione are always like together. Anime number 2 is Bleach. This is an anime I actually did not finish, and I don't think it actually got completed anyways, so it's probably a good thing I just stopped watching after a certain point. But a book series that is way too long that you never plan to finish. Apparently, when making this tag, I wasn't the only one that had on his mind, no one finishes this anime. But I really don't have an answer for this, just because the length of the series has nothing to do whether I'm going to finish it or not. Usually, the longer the series, the more invested I get into it and the more I'm willing to finish it. I mean, there are some exceptions to this. I feel like there's a few trilogies that are like just the perfect size for the subject matter that they're about, like The Hunger Games, for example, that worked beautifully as a trilogy. I can't really say the Shadow Me trilogy worked better as a trilogy because I haven't continued those books, but I thought it was really beautiful for a trilogy. So there are some exceptions to that, but the majority of the time I really like long drawn out series because you just get to know the characters and the world so much better. So the length of the series has nothing to do whether I'm going to finish it or not, because 9 times out of 10 that makes me more inclined to finish it. Anime number 3, Full Metal Alchemist. Fun fact, this is one of the first animes I ever watched, right beside Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Gundam. I didn't continue Gundam, because after a certain point it got ridiculous. I mean, besides Pokemon, these are like the main animes I watched as a child. And, you know, of course, Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z and all of them as well. A fantasy read that does not take place in a medieval setting. And that's 100% I would count Harry Potter as a medieval setting, because hell, it's a gigantic castle. So I was happy to go with the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. I absolutely adore this series and I never wanted to end, but the last book is coming out next year and I feel like crying just thinking about that. I mean, to think, we get one more Rick Riordan book and then never again. I don't know what to do with myself. Anime number 4 is Naruto. This is a series that it just got really too long and tedious, so I have not finished Naruto yet, but I plan to. I know everything that's going to happen anyways because of YouTube, and I mean, the anime's been out for a long time. It's my fault I haven't finished it, so I've been spoiled for pretty much everything that's going to happen, but I still want to, you know, watch it and finish it. But the question is, a middle grade or children's series you think is overrated. I don't know a lot of children's series. As for middle grade series, I've read only a handful and I don't think any of them have been overrated. Next up is Madoka Magica, and this is an anime or a movie. I don't even know if it's an anime or a movie, but I haven't seen it. But the question makes me not want to watch it. A book with a devastatingly sad plot twist. I don't really do a lot of sad animes because I watch anime to relax and unwind and just chill. I don't watch animes to be sad. That's why I haven't watched Your Lie in April yet. But it's on my list to watch because my nephew insists that I watch it. He says it's absolutely fantastic. And I think it's a fairly short anime. So I may stick it out. But for this question, I have The Death Cure by James Dashner. I'm not going to go into the sad plot twist of this book, mainly because I'm pretty sure everybody knows what it is. Because, if not because of the books, then because of the movies. But I don't want to talk about it because I fear I may cry because it happened to my favorite character and it wasn't okay. Now this next one I'm not sure I'm saying right. Bacano? Bacano. I'll put it up on the screen, but I'm pretty sure I'm saying it wrong. But it's a book about thieves. And the only two books I could actually think of off the top of my head that had to do with thieves was Legend by Marie Lu, in which the main character does a lot of stealing and vandalizing towards... Actually, he does a lot of vandalizing through a lot of the books, but this book he does a lot of stealing as well for his family. But then there's also number 6. One of the main characters, Nezumi, does a lot of stealing and vandalizing, and just more stealing than vandalizing though. Basically survive in this harsh dystopian world. This is an anime and a manga series that I highly recommend. The anime is only like 10 episodes long and the manga is 9 volumes long. It's really short, the art style is great, and it takes a twist in dystopian that I have never seen before. I mean, you just have to read it to get it, but it's something that I would love to read happen in an actual book series, but I don't think that'll ever happen. Also, I ship these two so freaking much. Anime number 7 is Gangsta, a series that was never officially finished that you're really attached to and you want to finish. Now, I'm less attached to this series now than I was when I was originally reading it, because like around volumes like 12 and 13 it gets really confusing. I actually think maybe 11 is where the confusion starts. But Loveless! I absolutely loved the series when I was reading it, and I really want it to be finished. I mean, this is like a really snail-paced manga series. I think there was like a year and a half between volumes like 12 and 13. I'm not 100% sure, but it felt like so much longer than that. And I have volume 13, but I haven't read it yet, simply because I need to reread this because it is so confusing. In this book, everyone is born with the ears and tail of a cat, which is what originally drew me to the series. I didn't know going into it that that was like a sign of innocence to them. So once you had sex, they would like literally just fall off, which is very weird, and I don't see how that works considering, you know, they can actually move the ears and the tail, and it's like, how does that work? I do have to throw out a warning if you guys want to try picking up this series after you've read it. It does have a lot of abuse. There's a very large age difference between the two main characters that are kind of love interests for each other. Very big age difference. But I think the abuse is the main thing you have to worry about going into this book, because it's abuse in many different forms, but it's mostly parent-child abuse. So just throwing that warning out there. Next up is Sword Art Online, another anime that I have on my list, but it's like at the very bottom of it because I'm not like really anxious to get to it, but I do plan on watching it. And this is a book with a beautiful cover or a great synopsis, but was ultimately disappointing. I have a big stack of books for this. Let's start with summaries. These summaries like really hooked me and made me want to read the book. I got into it and it fell so incredibly flat. Actually not sure. I think all these are actually series. Except, oh no, Two Boys Kissing by David Levithan. I don't have that book. I got rid of it. But that really made me want to read the book, and I got rid of it because it caused me mental health issues. I like the summary of that one. I like the thought of a world record for kissing and these two boys were trying to beat it, and the book was about so much more than that, and I was not expecting it. I was not mentally prepared for it. Yeah, it caused a lot of problems for me. Moving on, Ruby Red by Kirsten Gear. Now, this book, I went into it really wanting to like learn everything about the time travel aspect of these books. I haven't read a lot of time travel books. This probably was not the best place to start for me, or it may have been. I mean, this is kind of like a very mellowed out, dumbed down version of time travel. It was very easy to understand, and it could have been the fact that this was translated from German to English, that maybe there's a problem in translation with why the book was such a flop for me. But I really loved the summary of this book, and it just, no. I really wasn't expecting the time travel aspect of these people to be controlled by a device, and a group of elderly men being the ones that actually got to control the time travelers in a sense. And the last book I have written down for a summary that hooked me and everything is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. This one, you guys will know that if you watch my discussion, you know I have a lot of problems with this. Most of them have to do with the political aspect of the book. I felt like that should have been more integrated into the book than it was, even though, because that was my favorite part of it. And it's like, instead, all we got is relationship drama, which I should just come to expect from Cassandra Clare's books. But I don't like reading like 40-page chapters and like 800 pages of a book. I think it's actually more than that now that I think about it. Yeah, it's more than 800. I don't want to read 700 pages of relationship drama. It just gets old. And I was expecting so much more from the summary. It didn't happen. This book right here is why I haven't picked up the last 2 Cassandra Clare books that have come out. I usually do discussions for every one that comes out, and I don't know if I'll even read those series until they're finished, because I'm honestly not feeling the relationship drama. I can't remember even what this series is called, but the one about Ty and Kit, when that series comes out, is probably when I will read the other books first to get to that series. Okay, moving on to cover, but was ultimately disappointing. The Fever Code by James Dashner. I hate the color yellow, but this cover is actually really nice, and I like the fact that it's like a solar flare with the maze, so it kind of ties in the Scorch and the Maze Runner like in one cover, which I guess is kind of the point. But this is what happened to the kids from the Maze Runner before they were put in the maze. And to be honest, I was expecting more than just like their adventures in this like very isolated, controlled area. I mean, I was really expecting more. Like the mechanics of how the maze was built, how each of them played a part. I don't see how Thomas in the Maze Runner could blame himself for like the majority of things that happened after he got his memories back, if this is actually what happened. Then lastly is Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. This was very, very disappointing. I will put out there that Nexus was better than this book. And I think that mainly had to do with the fact that they had more time to work on it. And apparently the editor didn't hate them as much because they actually edited some of the book. This one, it feels like an unedited first draft, honestly. One is beautiful cover. It's absolutely stunning. And going off the hype and the summary of this book, which the summary is actually pretty dang confusing, at least to me, just because, I mean, going off everything I heard about the book and then I read the summary and then I actually read the book, it's just, it got more confusing because it's like, what happened here? Anime number 9 is Food Wars. This is another anime that I am really excited to get into. Although I've heard from several people that I need to eat while watching it because it's going to make me want to eat anyways. So there goes my diet. This is a book I was surprised I really liked. I have quite a few books on this one as well. First up is The Eye of Mines by James Dashner. This one had the plot twist of a frickin' century, and I already loved like the idea of, this is kind of like a Sword Art Online thing, where I feel like I should have put this as the answer for Sword Art Online, but the main characters are inside a video game, and I can't really say much else besides that. I mean, they're trying to take down this like hacker that's like messing with the I think it's just like a controlled area. It's like it's one place that you go, kind of like a realm that they're in. So I can't say he's like threatening the internet or anything like that. It's more like he's just threatening their realm to like completely unhinge it. But this book had the plot twist of a century, and I was actually really surprised. I went in with low expectations, but I was really surprised that I love this so much more than The Maze Runner. And that's saying a lot because I really liked The Maze Runner, but I didn't like the other 2 books. So this one, I love the entire trilogy. Next up, of course, is The Maze Runner by James Dashner. I read this book well after everyone else on BookTube read it, and at the beginning everyone liked the book. Then like as the years went down the road, it's like you hear a bunch of people trash talking the book and basically saying that it wasn't really good and they didn't have the same feelings for it that they did the first time they read it. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of problems with the 3rd book, as you guys know. I don't know, the 2nd book was kind of meh. I think it was like my least favorite of the trilogy. But I mean, overall, it's like I really did enjoy this first book, and I am not going to say that I didn't, just because everyone else doesn't like the book. I have Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. This book, I think the main reason, I mean, I love the idea of superheroes, but I think the main reason I wasn't expecting to like this book is because Brandon Sanderson is such a hyped author, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go into this book, and if I don't like it, which I probably won't, then I will have some questions on why everybody likes this author so much. But now I completely get it. I loved this book so much, and I can't wait to jump into his other series. Then I have Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is kind of like on that video game path, which I really love in books. But this has so many 80s pop culture references, and there's so little dialogue in this book. And can you see this tiny text right here? This is a 600-page book crammed into 300 pages. That is not okay. And it took me so long to read this and so much time looking up references that I was just like, I'm gonna hate this book so much. And this is only like 10 pages in. But I absolutely fell in love with it. And the minute I finished it, I wanted to reread the book, which doesn't happen to me. That honestly never happens to me. And I had to just calm my nerves and like just watch the movie instead and not reread this. I had to just jump into another book, because it took me too long to read this the first time. I have The Music of What Happens by Bill Collingsburg. I don't know how to say his name. But this book, I was mainly turned off by the cover. I got an arc of this book and I loved it so much that I ended up buying a finished copy of the book, which again is like, it never happens. This is the first time it actually happened. Really get into the fact that they had to work on a food truck the entire summer and whatnot, but it is just so much more than that. And this is a really beautiful relationship that just had me like, what is it even called? It's just like, like it's just so cute and so sweet, and I loved it so much. And I also love the fact that there's like so many flaws in these characters and in their family relationships. No, oh my god, that one mother, I still want to scream. I hate her so much. Oh, but overall, I just really wasn't expecting to love this book just based on the cover. This is one of those times where I judged the book by its cover, and I really shouldn't have, but in the end, it became one of my favorite books, and I can't stop squealing about these two. They're so cute. Last up is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the first book of either of those authors that I read. And my main reason for like being shocked that I actually like this book is simply because of the way it's told. I actually read the book via audiobook, which made it like 10 times better. Really hard to think you're gonna like a book when you have to read like this. Like there are so many worse pages, I can't find them, like where, oh my god, that was a good page actually. Where'd it go? Like there's pages like this, like that are just like words jammed into a freaking page that are just like this too. That's something you actually have to read, and there's a lot worse than that I think in the other two books. But listening to the audiobook is like the best decision I ever made on this, because it's a fantastic audiobook, has a full cast of people, and has so many sound effects and everything that I just love it. Loved it enough that I actually bought it. Okay, anime number 10 is Sailor Moon. This is an anime that I actually never finished, and I tried twice, so I've just given up on finishing it. You know, I just didn't watch, I watched 5 episodes into season 5, and that's basically where I get, and I just stop watching. I don't know what it is, I lose complete interest in it. So. But this is an older book that has the classic girl power feel. This, I kind of just had to go with Harry Potter, because I think it's the only classic off the top of my head that inspired me at all with the girl power in the book. Because I've read plenty of classics before, but most of them are what they are. They're classics. So the female character 9 times out of 10 isn't going to be showing girl power. And before you say Jane Austen, I've read Jane Austen, and I don't get empowered by reading it. I don't get empowered by reading Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility, and also I really don't. Little Women didn't inspire me either. I can't even remember most of that book. That was just a blur in my mind. Hermione and Ginny made me feel so empowered throughout the entire series of that book, and books. You may say Harry Potter isn't a classic, but Harry Potter has been out for how many years now? 20 years or more? I don't really know. I think it came out in 1998. Anime number 11 is Log Horizon, an anime that is on my list. Haven't watched it yet. A book that sounds similar to other books but does it better. I had this phase that I went in, like at the beginning of BookTube, where I wanted to read books about like superstars or famous people in general falling in love with regular everyday people, whether it be girl or guy. Doesn't really matter. And there was several books that I really enjoyed, but I felt like Paper Hearts by Ali Novak took it one step further. And she has actually a quartet of books that focus around these 4 famous guys and them falling in love. And Heartbreakers is a really good one, but I think Paper Hearts does it better than Heartbreakers. Anime number 12 is Black Butler, another anime that I need to finish. A series you liked when you were younger but now cringe at. I don't cringe at the fact that I liked it. I cringe at the fact that I was obsessed with this series, but I don't cringe at the fact that I liked this series. Liking it was fine. When I say series, I'm actually just talking about the Black Butler. I'm not talking about the book, because I do cringe at the fact that I was obsessed with Twilight. That it's kind of hard not to cringe, especially since everything about this book is just cringe. I still plan on reading Life and Death just because it's supposed to be a gender bending different version of whatever the hell happened in Twilight. I try to blank out my memory of everything that happened in those books. I read it because of a friend in high school, and I don't know how long all the books were published by the time I actually got to it, so I wasn't on like the initial hype train, but I was there when the movies came out. I think the second movie was coming out actually when I got like on the hype train really good. But I cringe at it, especially since like all my family members would get me stuff with Twilight inspired, like they had mugs, souvenir mugs and stuff that they would just go out of their way to pick up for me, and it's like a year down the road they're still doing it, and it's like, I don't like Twilight anymore, can you please stop? It's like I got out of my Twilight phase fairly quickly, especially after I got old enough to see the unhealthy relationship and the fact that there's really no character in these characters and no character development in these characters, and it's just like, go stupid younger me. But I definitely cringe at this. I don't cringe at Black Butler. I like it. I don't care. I should have wore a Black Butler shirt because I have a couple. Okay, maybe I should cringe a little bit at the Black Butler thing. Last but not least, anime number 13, Prince of Tennis, one of my other favorite animes of all time. An ongoing series you are willing to wait for. Thank God this is an ongoing series, because almost 200 episodes really isn't enough. And I'm not even being sarcastic with that. I love this series. It can go on forever if I like it. Well, actually, it needs to end before I die. That way I know it's ended. But the point is, it can go on for a long time. I don't care. And fingers crossed, Haiku goes on just as long. For this, I'm going with Super Lovers. I had to hold up the DVD because it's impossible to find the English version of this manga series. And I am irked because I get tired of reading it online. I would like to buy the books and support the author, but they're not in English. There's no point in me spending $12 a volume on a Japanese version of the book when I can only read like maybe half a dozen flippin' words in Japanese. Actually, it's 7, 8. I can read 9 words in Japanese. So yeah, that's not enough to read the manga. But this series, it's an ongoing series. I don't know if they're going to make any more like episodes because it's been a while, and there is definitely enough of the manga out now that they could continue making episodes of it. But this is a series that manga-wise I am 100% willing to wait for. I mean, I don't care how long the series is. I want it so much. I want it to be complete. That way I know exactly how everything ends for these characters. But at the same time, I don't want it to end ever. I'm conflicted. But yeah, it's such a good series, and it's probably one of the few series that I'm just willing to wait for. It's like others I'm like anxiously like gimme, 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 gimme. This one's like gimme, 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 but I'm willing to wait for it because it's that good. that is the end of this tag. I planned on it being a lot shorter than it was, but I also didn't expect myself to actually rant about anime a bit in this, which I guess I should have foresaw, considering it's the anime book tag. So should I be sorry about that? I don't know. But if you guys made it to the end of this video, thank you guys so much for sticking with me. And let me know in the comments below what your favorite anime is. I've already mentioned a couple in this video, Haiku and Prince of Tennis. Off the top of my head, I can also list as my favorites Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball Z. I also really love Digimon, specifically the 3rd season of Digimon. And Zoids. Zoids is such a fantastic, underrated anime, and I absolutely love it. Gundam Wing is my favorite season of Gundam. And then I also have Case Closed / Detective Conan, depending on which version of you've seen. And those are just like a few of my favorites, like off the top of my head. This video has been going on long enough. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!